Cheerio, mates. Today we've got semi-finals of the Classic. We've got Ojama facing McMeghan, and I promised that I would do this video in a British accent, so please bear with me. I hope it doesn't take away from your enjoyment of it, since, I mean, all this changes the accent, really, and same voice and everything. I might do some... since I am an aspiring actor on the side, and I know British people don't say actor, but it seemed appropriate. Anyway, I do a pretty good Russian one, so I may do that if I ever get the urge to. But yeah, I don't know exactly what kind of British accent I'm really going for here. I'm just going for generic American, tries to imitate Brit. And, I mean, how many times can you really tolerate my general American accent, you know? So, yeah, please enjoy and shit. And this is, a very hyped series between two members of Team France, two of the greatest players of all time. And, yeah, let's get into it. So we've got Ojama using some sand offense, which is rather typical of him, although he doesn't always bring the spikes that his Skarmory's packing. And he leads off with it, saying as there is a Magneton on the other team, so he may as well get some use out of it while he can, rather than risk it not getting any spikes at all. You know, Stealth Rock going up, and Prediction, or something of the sort. And McMeghan does lead off with Landorus, so he is going to get at least 2 layers of spikes, unless he's Rocky Helmet, or Custard Berry, which somehow I don't think, in which case he'll only get Stealth Rock. But since, you know, leftovers heal him back to Sturdy, so he can live a Thunderbolt, and Shed Shell lets him switch out, obviously. And the reason for Magneton is usually it's, well, it is its higher speed, and it outruns +1 DD Gyarados and Dragonite, and that's all well and good, but the biggest threat that it can handle that Magnezone can't, unless it's running like Chople with Thunder Wave, is Alakazam. Anyway, McMeghan's also got some bulky sand, although he errs a bit more on the balanced side with his 2 Regenerator Walls. And he's got the 2 ground flying types, you know, perhaps the Landorus is the dedicated Revenge Killer. It could also be Rocks, although I don't really see. I suppose that, well, I don't know about 2 Scarf Pokemon on a team like that, but already, you know, struggles with spikes. I mean, Gliscor is a machine, but it can't do everything on its own, even with Magneton removing Skarmory from the picture. Anyway, Tyranitar comes in, so we can assume that the Garchomp is not the Stealth Rocker, since it would have come in and set it immediately up off the immunity, although Tyranitar is more than bulky enough to do so itself, and does so, as Landorus comes back in. Now, with Skarmory removed, Ojama's Earthquake switch-ins are the rather squishy Virizion on the physical side, and Latios, which gets demolished by U-turn and trapped by Tyranitar. So, he goes to Keldeo expecting the Stealth Rock, but McMeghan makes a good play, and, you know, abuses that strong Earthquake. It's not, like, uncommon for teams to struggle with Landorus, you know, in its powerful Earthquakes. I mean, people use it because it revenge kills, and it has Intimidate and good bulk and all that, but people forget it has monstrous attack. It's nearly Groudon level. So, he fires one up and does a hefty amount to Keldeo, so this is definitely an offensive Landorus. No bulk Stealth Rock here. And Ojama makes a good play going to Latios here, because either another Earthquake was coming, assuming Scarf, although McMeghan correctly switched out, fearing the potential Scarf Keldeo himself. And Latios also has a good matchup against the Keldeo counter Amoonguss. So McMeghan sacrificed the Magneton, gets crit by Surf, but depending on the set that probably didn't matter. I mean, if it's Scarf, then it 2KO'd anyway, blah blah blah. And yeah. So if it was Specs, I don't think it is, judging from the Surf damage of that Tyranitar, unless it's horribly bulked out. Still, it's kind of ridiculous. Possibly Expert Belt, but so unless the Garchomp is Scarf, which would lead to huge issues with the baiting of the defensive teams department. He struggles greatly, which would make him struggle greatly with Skarmory. And I don't think so. So Latios is probably the Scarf Pokemon in that case, and Trantara takes that with a crunch. Doesn't want to take 2 serves with the hazards up. Anyway, Verzion comes in knowing it can, get the free Calm Mind. Keldeo is weakened, but if he can bust through Amoonguss or weaken it, then perhaps he can make something happen. Although there is Slowbro as a backup check to it, but depending on the set, it probably doesn't want to fight Keldeo. And McMeghan goes for Clear Smog rather than Spore. And perhaps he feared Substitute, perhaps he feared, well, Clear Smog, I'm not sure, is guaranteed to break the sub, but 2 definitely would. Although, it would be annoying. No one really runs sub Calm Mind Verzion, ever did. Taunt, same boat really, so he Clear Smogs it, and then knowing he can't be killed by HP Ice, almost certainly, even with Sand, then he would go for the Spore. I'm not sure what the advantage of that over Spore was, but, there you go. I really wish I was narrating this in real time, because the moves would go a lot slower. Even with the replay thing on really slow, then then it's kind of goes really fast. Also, I was going to mention that Badass versus Light the Thunder for the recent World Cup was another example of Skarmory getting magged, and then Landorus's Earthquakes becoming absolutely devastating. So mag, mostly zone, but as we see from this battle, Ton as well, although there's no Alakazam to defend against, is a very key anti-metagame Pokemon at the moment. Always was, but it's been seeing some more use as of late. Anyway, so self-explanatory stuff happened, and Landorus comes in against the Tyranitar switch to pick up another kill, since now there's no even resist left, and Verzion will not want to switch in for fear of being, perhaps 2 KO'd by the Scarf Earthquake. So he lets the Sleeping Weaken Keldeo go, best choice. Amoonguss is weakened, Regenerate helps a little, but with Rocks and Spikes hacking in. So Ojama predicts the switch quite nicely, knowing everything else is probably slower. So, he might want to just blow through everything with Calm Minds, but Ojama has bluffed Scarf very nicely. McMeghan, apologies, and Superpowers, which is very unexpected. That still doesn't say a lot about the item or the rest of the remaining. Well, the remaining move is almost certainly Hidden Power Ice or Stone Edge. Possibly, I think Hidden Power Ice, because other Landorus and Gliscor are a threat. And Stone Edge only really hits Gyarados, since Earthquake, just destroys Volcarona, and most of Stone Edge's targets, and Dragonite, Salamence, also 4 times weak to Hidden Power Ice. Anyway, so it's a good move on McMeghan's end, very nicely done. But it's not a bad move on Ojama's, because now Garchomp, the only way that Landorus was killing Verzion with either Superpower or Explosion, and with Superpower, Garchomp can now set up on the -1 Earthquakes and threaten to outrun and kill now that he knows the Landorus isn't Scarf. And it's very unlikely for the Tart to be, since seeing how little it took from the Latios Surf. So he gets up 2 Dances, and McMeghan conserves the Landorus to get an Intimidate off. And since that's his only shot, really, since he could have afforded to take 1, but we see Dual Chop. I was going to say he could have afforded to take 1 at +2, but after he saw the second, then he said, I got to save this. Although if Ojama had predicted, there was no way Ojama was going to predict. He could have feasibly, but it's unnecessary when +3 should be plenty enough. As we see how Slowbro just crumples. Although the 2 layers of spikes and the rocks certainly help out in that department. And we saw Deal Chop as the stab move, which is going to give Gliscor some semblance of a chance at living the +3 attack, and it barely comes up short, living with 5% with rocks up. So Intimidate was the savior. And Roost is, most people associate Black and White Gliscor, the Poison Heal ones with Protect, since in Black and White 1 it couldn't use Roost. That changed in Black and White 2, but a lot of people still use Protect because of how dangerous it is with Substitute and Protect stalling, Toxic stalling. But Ojama's, stuck throwing out crunches. He gets a defense drop, and I would assume that McMeghan's lack of a real win condition would mean that this is Swords Dance. It's got all the proper support. So he roosts up to full. I'm not sure I agree with you. It's cool that to reveal Swords Dance, I'm using an old set. You know, it's still good. I mean, and I mean, perhaps I think it would just better to Earthquake. You know, just because you have the chance to crit, so he has less chances to whatchamacallit, you know, crit, defense drop you and all that. But yeah, that was a. And I'm not. Well, yeah, the roost was definitely necessary in case he was Shuka or something. But yeah, that was a very good battle. I enjoyed it, which is very rare in black and white. But yeah, let's move on to DPP. So Ojama leads off with my favorite lead, Zapdos, and McMeghan leads off with the Mesprit. And this makes me wary because the only team I can think of that leads Mesprit that isn't from like 2008 or something before I played is a joke team that I made pre-last World Cup because August and I started thinking, hey, Mesprit could be cool. And it is pretty good, but I mean, I never used the team in anything serious, and I never, you know, told anyone, hey, if you need to win a game, use this. I mean, some people have it, but I remember PDC used it against Heist in the DPP Cup, and somehow won, but I mean, Jesus, don't use it, just fall lower tier pokes. Not that it's bad, but I mean, it's not meant to fight OUs. I just threw the pokes together because I wanted to test some of them out. I mean, the Nidoqueen is Thunderbolt, for Christ's sakes. But, yeah, enough about me. The Nidoqueen comes under the Zapdos Sphere and the Specs Thunderbolt, and Ojama U-turns out into his trusty Swampert, getting up the rocks as Nidoqueen sets him up as well, not knowing Earthquake doesn't kill, and Swampert's going to go for 3 rocks anyway, because that's what Swampert does. Anyway, there isn't a Bomb Snow on this team, but it doesn't want to come in this early if it can help it, because, you know, Stealth Rock weak, and there's no, whatchamacallit, if there's a Roar, then, you know, it's a lot less disastrous to switch Mesprit in, and Mesprit does not have Grass Knot in the original, but it does here, and I have to say it's a good choice against a person like Ojama who loves the Swamperts. Anyway, it wards off Tyranitar switches as well, which is nice. Anyway, so Ice Beam gets thrown out if Zapdos wants to try and come back in, and Jirachi switches in. Since Tyranitar doesn't want to come in at the Grass Knot, as mentioned, so he was free to predict a little bit. And Ice Beam doesn't do very much, and he goes for a Body Slam, so, I mean, it says something about the Jirachi, but still not a hell of a lot. It could be sub-TOA, it could be special defensive. I don't think it's specially defensive, since although that Expert Belt, the hidden power is Expert Belt boosted, most likely, almost definitely. And it's Ground to Fire. I use Ground on the original, but who knows. I don't think Fire is very good, honestly. But, hey, I mean, I didn't think it was that great on Jirachi either. I still don't think it is, but whatever. So it could be either of those. And McMeghan switches to the Heatran, one of the 2 OU Pokemon on the team. It is a Scarf set, and he avoided the paralysis, and that's nice. So he double switches nicely, knowing that there's a full health Swampert waiting, and he catches it with the Abomasnow switch. He doesn't catch the Swampert, but he catches the Starmie coming in, and that's almost as good. So Ojama rather recklessly, I guess he made a nice move, since he predicted McMeghan to press his advantage and try to catch the Jirachi switch in and spinning, but the Expert Abomasnow tries to HP Fire and he gets spun on, so they rip the rocks, and Zapdos comes in, and even with the crit from the neutral power, the Expert boosted Ice Shard doesn't do enough, and U-turn back into the Starmie, and this is a bulky spin Starmie. It needs Psychic to kill, since Abomasnow is quite bulky, and could have taken a neutral on stab, Thunderbolt or Ice Beam. Psychic is a good choice. I mean, it hits Pokemon like Kingdra a little harder, but the main targets are Roserade, Gengar, and Breloom. Anyway, so you know, Wood Hammer might have been a little nicer there, since even Jirachi wouldn't have loved switching into Stealth Rock. And especially since it was weakened, and with Hail nullifying its leftovers recovery. The Kingdra comes in, it throws out Dragon Pulse. It is Specs. That was another Pokemon that August and I were interested in testing. And so Zapdos gets sacrificed. You know, it's weakened, and the Scarf Trend, Nidoqueen, and all that. So McMeghan sacrifices the Mesprit, not wanting Kingdra paralyzed, and Nidoqueen comes back in, and I mean, with Hail nullifying leftovers, or Black Sludge rather, then it's more than feasible for Jirachi to flinch it out. I mean, I've seen Jirachi flinch out Spadef Hippowdons effortlessly, But yeah, he goes to Stami instead. Since and there's the Thunderbolt Native Queen I mentioned. It is solely to screw with Stami and also Gyarados a little. So I mean, it's good to screw with bulky Stami a little, but again, this team is not meant to be, you know, seriously used. I mean, not that Thunderbolt Native Queen is totally unusable or something, but it doesn't have the right supporting cost. It was just a nice move that I threw on. So Stami throwing out Psychic, it's a better move than Surf because Heatran's not switching in and it'll catch a Kingdra a little harder. The last on the original team is a Technician Hitmontop, and it could come in here to finish the Stami off. He could also go to Scarf Train, or he could go to Kingdra. I guess, suppose, you know, he'll take a hit from the Psychic, but the alternative is not being able to switch into Swamput's Earthquake safely, due to not being able to touch it at all. Although locking himself in Dragon Pulse means that he's going to be Jirachi food. Although he goes for 40 Slam and eats a Specs Dragon Pulse crit. Rip. And Kingdra's going to die to Hail, but I mean, that sucks and all, but with Heatran around and Hail, I don't think it's terribly useful for Jirachi, so we'll see. Anyway, McMeghan replaced the thing, whatchamacallit, the Hitmontop with a Jirachi, so I mean, it forms a sort of nice little 1-2 punch with Mesprit, but it's also got its own Grass Knot, and I don't think it's Expert Belt because that probably would have killed unless. Yep, there's Shuka. Expert Belt would have killed that. And that Earthquake is scarily little. Must be naive instead of hasty. So, Rip Swampert, as we're going to see. I mean, Ojama's team structure, it could be a million things really. There have been a ton of teams like that. And McMeghan doesn't really go for the stallish approach in DPP, so he was pretty set in going with this anti-offense sort of deal. As Kingdra comes in, which is a great anti-offense poke if it's Rain Dance, and if it was Rain Dance, then assuming the Jirachi didn't have Iron Head, I mean, it was kind of a tough task flinching out of full health Kingdra anyway. Well, although in Hail, because in Hail it would be getting chipped away at itself, but yeah, this Kingdra is not Life Orb and it's got Waterfall, so it could be a Rain Dance Dragon Dance set, which is I like very much. You know, it makes the Dragon Dance a little less shitty, but yeah, that finishes the game. As McMeghan had to hope for a DD set that Scarf Chan would be able to outrun, since Kingdra doesn't really run max speed, and it definitely doesn't run Timid Scarftran, Hasty or Naive. The plus speed Scarftran doesn't can outrun Adamant Kingdra, and you can't run Jolly DD Kingdra because Adamant is weak as is. Like, it's disgusting really. So he had to hope for a DD set which he would explode on and try to finish Jirachi. Would have been a prediction battle depending on the Ojama's last, which honestly could be anything from, you know, Infernape to Tyranitar to Dragonite to, I mean, Gengar to, perhaps a better, you know, a Grass type, a Breloom. You really can't tell, but yeah, so McMeghan apparently got the team from the Ruinous forums where August posted it, so that explains a little something. But it's not a serious team, really, and I mean, this is the second time it's been used in a big tournament, so both times in the Classic, as I recall. And I mean, it's, you know, what can I say really? I mean, it didn't do badly, but it's just it shows it's like lower tier pokes at times. I mean, I'm not saying these pokes aren't good, because they definitely are, but they just aren't, you know, totally cohesive. Although it looks cool, and I mean, you can always get points for bringing crispy innovation on the Small Cross Chat, the paragon of Pokemon spectating. Anyway, let's move on to the third game, which is RBY. Hello. Oh, fuck me. Whoops. Excuse me. Anyway, it's interesting to me how RBY is similar to chess in that its lead matchups, you know, it's similar to chess openings. You know, they're set in stone. Not in stone, but, you know, like, they're pretty well defined. And the only other general that's really a thing is DPP. And, yeah, so McMeghan wins the Jinx War and goes to Snorlax as Jinx stays asleep. No crazy RBY sleep shenanigans so far. And, Ojama responds with his own Snorlax. It's for Reflect, as McMeghan is going to go for Earthquake to make sure that he doesn't get countered, because in RBY the only moves that can get countered are normal and fighting moves. As we see right there, as McMeghan counters Ojama's Snorlax's Body Slam, and brings it down low, and now switches into Exeggutor as Snorlax goes to sleep. So Ojama's got two sleeping Pokemon. He's going to be forced out by this Exeggutor, which, while will be pretty easy to wall, I mean, it's not a great position to be in. McMeghan comes back to Snorlax, but Ojama's got no fear, and wakes up, although he can't do anything this turn, and McMeghan forgets that and counters. Rip Snorlax, rip Chansey if that gets frozen! Wow! I actually hadn't watched the replay that far. Whoops, rip Chansey. I had gotten a few takes, but I never made it past the Snorlax scene. So, Exeggutor comes in, doesn't get parried, so now it can threaten some explosions, but McMeghan goes for the Psychic, knowing he doesn't have to blow his load quite yet. It's a special drop on the Jinx, knowing he can't be hit by Blizzard this turn, he goes for it again, and no drop again, but switches out this time, goes to his Tauros to press his advantage against the sleeping Pokemon, and that's why being aggressive with sleeping pokes is very important, otherwise Tauros is just going to come in on you, and while full health Snorlax makes that, you know, not as dangerous as it could be, unless it starts critting as Tauros is known to do, then, you know, that's also why Psychic again was a good play out of McMeghan's end, since, again, you have to be careful with your sleeping poke lest they be turned into bait for Tauros, and so Psychic, remember, Snorlax is bad special in RBY, and he misses a Psychic, rip. That's pretty funny, and but he can still barrage the Snorlax, and even if he doesn't get Body Slam powered, Reflect doesn't go away after 5 turns, it stays until you switch out, and McMeghan goes to his Jinx for more powerful special stab attacks. Blizzard misses, so Ojama's getting, you know, I mean, it is RBY, so you can't, you know, bitch about luck too much or take it too seriously, but Ojama's got the good stuff in this battle. And Jinx's bad special defense means it is 2k by Body Slam, although it doesn't get the para, so Ojama's Jinx has been sleeping for quite some time, but Megan's going to press that Tauros with the weakened Snorlax, and now Ojama is forced to switch his own Exeggutor into it. And the crit means that is in Hyper Beam range, and that's more prediction games, and it's barely out of Blizzard range, but Ojama makes a nice play and switches his Tauros into McMeghan's Tauros on the Hyper Beam. Going for the Body Slam, I think Blizzard is a general better opening move because you get the freeze. Oh, he's got the Chansey for freeze claws. Never mind. Anyway, McMeghan Body Slams and the Tauros on Ojama's end gets the crit, so they're both weakened. But Zapdos comes in after the Chansey sack. Body Slam, no para. Drill Peck, rip Tauros. So Zapdos is very threatening against teams without I'm not sure what that was, that move there, since Jinx is faster than, we see an oops from Ojama, so waste of a Jinx there. And Chansey comes in after. Now Chansey, you know, it can take hits, but it's got to be wary of those crit drill pecks, and those happen a lot. Anyway, McMeghan sends out Jinx now that Ojama's Jinx, well, it's dead, but it had woken up before, so we can put something else to sleep, and the Chansey goes to sleep. And now Alakazam comes out, and I love late game Alakazam. It's so powerful, and it being faster than Tauros, and that amazing crit rate. It's even faster than Starmie, although it is walled by Starmie. But yeah, I just love it, and I always like seeing it late game. It's terrifying. Anyway, Psychic, as you can see, doesn't load to the McMeghan Snorlax, and he's chased out by the threat of Body Slam paralysis. And we see the two Exeggutors sucking each other, but Ojama does not get the full power he was looking for, and they both go down. Exeggutor fights Exeggutor a lot. It's great. Anyway, Thunderbolt pounds Snorlax. He just barely survives. Excuse me. and Body Slam gets the para, so now expecting a rest. McMeghan switches out to Jinx. Nice thought, but Snorlax, he's just going to keep attacking, and Tauros is out. It's weakened, so Zam kills it. And I mean, anything can happen. Remember, McMeghan missed a Psychic earlier. Love RBY, so there's nothing saying that Alakazam can't do the same, although it would still require some luck for McMeghan to come out of that on top. But he gets the crit for good measure. Remember, Alakazam has... it's usually the fastest Pokemon in an RBY match, so it has the highest crit rate. Anyway, it's not quite in Zapdos range, because remember, Zapdos' great special attack also means it has great special defense, which goes for everything. But, yeah, so Chansey switches out into absorbing the Thunder Wave, because it's asleep, of course, and Body Slam does 41. Now, Chansey, I mean, it's used to switch into Snorlax quite a lot, and unless that misses, oh boy, this is going to be an interesting finish. But the thing is, with whatchamacallit, Chansey is that it often switches into Snorlax now that it can't be paralyzed by Body Slam. Oh, there's Reflect. Are we going to see a boom? We do. It lives. Now it's going to come down to... I'll finish my Chansey into Snorlax tangent after we see how this ends. Reflect. He's going to recover, knowing that he can't kill, but he gets Thunder Wave in the process. I know the Brits say process. Oh, he gets the crit Psychic. Game over. So Ojama was probably coming out on top of that, regardless. But I think he had the advantage for most of the game. You know, he had some good periods of luck. Both players made some misplays, and I'm no RBY expert, but there was certainly questionable moves on both sides for sure. But it was a good game otherwise. So let's move on to the fourth game with a score of 2-1 Ojama. Oh, and the Chansey tangent is that Chansey often switches into Snorlax since it can't be paralyzed, and the absurdly low crit rate, it's like 4%. If only it were like that in other gens, am I right, fellas? Anyway, so it can soft-boiled stall a lot, and T-Wave and Threat and Counter, seeing if it's got that, but it's just like it pivots out while Snorlax spams Body Slam, and usually Snorlax ends up exploding on it, and then Starmie becomes opened up. But yeah, you see Chansey switching into Snorlax a lot. Anyway, so oh, and late came out because I'm proving its worth. It's a great Pokemon. Anyway, GSC. GSC, Raikou, Zapdos. Let's so Zapdos is utterly blanked by Raikou, and Zapdos is almost certain to have a set of Thunder, HP Ice, Rest Talk. Sometimes it runs funky shit like HP Water, Light Screen, you know, very, very rarely, you know, Reflect. Can't think of much else. Drill Peck, I suppose. T-Wave, but for the most part, it's safe to assume Thunder, HP Ice, Rest Talk. It can 1v1. It can, you know, stay in on literally any Pokemon in the game, even Snorlax for a couple turns. So, Raikou is less likely to run Rest Talk. And from McMeghan's end, we have the replay, so we see 379 HP. I'm sorry for the non-objective look at it, but that indicates some funky hidden power IVs, since it does have the same HP as Zapdos. Anyway, it sets up a Reflect, so we know it's got Reflect, so that, you know, usually means almost always no Rest Talk. And last could be Raw. I would expect Raw, so we can expect to see some spikes. Probably, you know, some teams, I know Earthworm like to run a Reflect Raw with no spikes and this Marowak, but Zapdos switches into the Exeggutor with Sleep Powder Threat, no Thief. Thief's a very cool move on Exeggutor since you're almost guaranteed to take it from an Electric or a Lax. So we've got double Electric from both players, which is interesting. So instead of throwing out a weak HP Ice, McMeghan's going for the Paralyze strat. Paralysis is very strong in GSC, and it's even paralyzing a Raikou. Zapdos can sometimes stay in just to paralyze it and make things easier for perhaps a Vaporeon or something of the sort. Sorry, I fucked that wording up a little bit, but yeah, it can stay in here if he really wants to, and he does. You know, go for the power. It's not uncommon at all, and sometimes it, you know, bites in the PP a little, but. See, there's a Thunder Paras. Raikou Dittos, although without spikes, they don't really amount to nothing, unless, you know, they're neither of them are raw. So Zapdos switches in to Exeggutor and starts rest stalling it, and it's a dangerous game because not only can it explode whenever it feels like an Exeggutor for Zapdos is pretty fair, but it can also throw out a lot of psychics, get death drops, or crit like it did there. Although that crit was rather premature. Umbreon comes in, and now the Sleep Powder threat is still around, and Umbreon is actually faster than Exeggutor, which lets it pursue it sometimes before it gets exploded on, or Charm, which makes Explosion a lot less powerful and lets Umbreon live it. It's Titanic Bulk, Toxic Mist, Sleep Powder Mist, nice prediction on the McMeghan's end, doing a nice 51%. Yeah, that's GSC for you. Umbreon is actually a viable pursuiter. I mean, it's got some viability in ADV, but it's pretty niche. And I really don't know how to pronounce the word niche in any language, or accent, rather. Anyway, Thunder Crit Powerful Para. Goodness gracious, that term could not have possibly had any more hacks. Pokemon's a great game sometimes, so Ojama's, keeping up his, luck in this battle. Although last game was RBY, so relative. Anyway, so Umbreon has got to switch out to Raikou here, and the paralyzed game, it's not making a difference yet, but it could be crucial later. So Zapdos just fired him off. I don't like to use Thunder in situations like that, because it's PP. I mean, in games, with Raikou, then it is going to be a longer one, and you really want to conserve them for when they count, like when you've got to finish up that weakened Snorlax. So, although, I mean, he's got 2 of them, so you can play a bit more recklessly with them. And the Raikou switch is so telegraphed there, but that's me, and it's rather minor in the grand scheme of things. So he's got to switch out the Raikou here. I think now's a good time. Well, I was going to say for Snorlax, but he's getting some help with the Exeggutor. I guess we won't know what McMeghan did there. Perhaps he tried to rest, get rid of the paralysis, and Giga Drain Umbreon, and knowing it won't KO, and knowing that Pursuit was extremely unlikely, so Ojama switches to Cloyster and get the spikes up. McMeghan's got the Fortress response. He's got some lower HP on Fortress as well, so we can see some sort of hidden power perhaps. And I forget what hidden power. I think HP Fire makes the hidden power like way lower, because it starts out at 353 and it brings it down way the hell down. Don't remember exactly what it is. And I don't think Bug does it though. Could be HP Ghost for sure. I'm not familiar with the DVs for that. Excuse me. Anyway, but if it's got Giga Drain, then it can fight the Cloyster, unless Surf crits. Goodness gracious almighty. Switch to Umbreon here. Perhaps, force a boom. Now that spikes have been laid down, there's nothing else this Cloyster's really going to do, and generally on a team like Ojama's, I was going to say you want to preserve the Cloyster for, booming on Snorlax, but that's fair, I guess. Especially when Umbreon is kind of a non-threat, to be honest. I mean, its only real threat is, Exeggutor, but he can Giga Drain like he did, and Sleep Powder and all that, so not to mention he's got great switch-ins. So, Skarmory comes in against Exeggutor, and Exeggutor can throw out a Sleep. And no, he switches to Zapdos, gets Toxic, then it throws out a Hidden Power. So the poison, the way Toxic works in GSC is that it's Toxic Poison until you switch out. So that's why it did so little, that it was recovered by leftovers. Whereas in later gens, leftovers go first, so he would have, you can't be at 100% after that. But he goes for HP Ice, and it'll be reverted to regular Toxic after. He goes for Thunder. I didn't really see the need of that. I mean, he was reflecting and then resting. At least, if you got your Snorlax in on that turn, then he wouldn't rest. I mean, if he did, then he gave you more setup. Although, for all we know, it's a set completely blanked by Skarmory, and you can't really tell based on his other Pokemon yet. It's in the finer details of the movesets, really. So, and his remaining non-Snorlax Pokemon. There's Lax, and now Raikou's healthier. That could have been avoided. The Thunder was rather unnecessary there, I think. So we're going to find out something about the Snorlax. It doesn't reveal all its moves in a few turns always, unless it's absolutely necessary. And even then, see, there's Fire Blast. McMeghan decides if it starts cursing, I'm gonna... Oh, this Earthquake, so this could be a Mixlax. And that would explain, the Raikou on the team. Well, not fully, besides the fact that double electric is good. But if the Snorlax is, no recovery and killing itself, then you might want some reassurance against the others. Here comes Gengar. We don't see leftovers. It absorbs the Toxic, so it's definitely a Thief set. So it's going to take the leftovers from either the Raikou, which likely, or the Snorlax. I suppose now sniping Umbreon is good, since that also annoys the Gengar. But yep, there's Thunderbolt. Perhaps he thought he might stay in. Raikou's sleeping anyway, but yeah, there's so he gets the Thief off and takes Raikou's leftovers, which will annoy facing Zapdos, especially with spikes down. But so Raikou goes up with Thunderbolt, so he's more reliable than Zapdos this one. So things like Tentacruel, I suppose Tentacruel wouldn't be that annoying regardless. But anyway, so Lax is in. It's got no... I mean, it is 70%, not great. So switching, knowing odds of Fire Blast there were rather low. Facing, I guess, Thunderbolt, he could have afforded it. Perhaps he expected a Reflect and was trying to land a Paralysis. That's feasible. But Skarmory's in, I suppose. He thinks... I mean, what is Skarmory really useful for besides the thing? And McMeghan, knowing that his Skarm is not really needed to be healthy, it'll be nice against Exeggutor, but nice double switch there on Ojama's end to rack up Spike's damage on the Raikou and continue the onslaught. But yeah, McMeghan just wanted to chip away with Driddle Peck. In case Gengar tried to come in, and they would also, do a nice chunk to the Snorlax, which isn't recovering. There's Reflect, Body Slam doing pittance, and I expect a rest here, otherwise he can't switch to Thunder. So, what was I going on about? There's rest. Are we going to say Earthquake? We do, that does 27. I mean, if he stays in and spams it, either way, Ojama's in a really commanding position right now. So... I think I covered, everything. It's not something that might have slipped my mind, but it hasn't. Yeah, anyway. And if it was really that important, I'm sure it'll come back to me. So, Raikou, it's in, and even if it stays in, with Reflect and all, then Snorlax can just continue this cycle, because if he has to rest, and then he can't Reflect again, so McMeghan's forced to fight the Snorlax with his own Snorlax. Maybe because under Reflect it doesn't take much from the physical attacks, and it handles the possibility of a Fire Blast aimed at Scar's Fortress isn't switching in, unless it wants to try to explode with full health Gengar around, or near full health rather. So we don't know what kind of set McMeghan's Snorlax is. We see return, so it's not going Body Slam, so that's pretty important actually. When you're, going for all the damage you can get against other Snorlax. I mean, Paralysis is nice, but sometimes you can't beat just good old-fashioned damage output, especially when it's got 102 base power as opposed to 80. 4 stabs factored in, of course. So down goes the Exeggutor. I suppose he expected Curse and wanted to try and go for sleep. With the Raikou being crippled without leftovers, spikes down, sleeping itself, so he wouldn't really mind that. That would just be a vehicle for more leftovers recovery, and he could sleep anything he wanted really. But Ojama's just going for the McMeghan's just going for the damage. So Raikou comes in to fight Snorlax, and this is why I'm not a fan of booming the Cloyster early. See, because okay, so I recognize that Umbreon would have been really nice, or really annoying for Gengar, but he could have taken his leftovers and switched out because it's not like Pursuit comes anywhere close to KOing. And I mean, odds are, well, he could have exploded it for Exeggutor with Gengar. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, Cloyster would be so nice because when you have to send in Raikou to fight Snorlax like that, it's just not good. I mean, it's pretty obvious that Snorlax has Explode, which makes 4 of his Pokemon having all his non-electric pokes have explosion, you know, nothing wrong with that. Especially because all of them threaten Scarm in some way, but, although, and Tyranitar to a decent extent, I suppose. You know, Gengar not really, but, it can take its leftovers and not die. Anyway, so, yeah, because the Snorlax is self-destruct, of course, but, he can't just fight it like that. I mean, that would be kind of desperate, and, I mean, it's not really bad, you know, to do it, but, yeah. So, we see a hidden power, water from the Raikou as it starts roaring around, after taking the return, and, getting racking up spikes, bringing in the weakened Fortress from the Surf Crit and finishing it off. So Snorlax comes back in, and, we know McMeghan's does not have Earthquake, so it could be a Curse Set, could be Belly Drum, could be a million things, you know, Snorlax can do it all. So, we're gonna see another return here, I assume, and, you know, Ojama with, what boost is this reveal? Has it revealed? No, because I thought it might have had Reflect for a second, that it didn't have Rest or something crazy. But, he survives another return and roars out. So in comes the sleeping Raikou again, and Zapdos is looking dangerous. Of course, you know, Snorlax can always pull a comeback, Snorlax, and the Pursuit Umbreon might suggest that it doesn't have a move to hit Gengar, or rather, only has Fire Blast to hit Gengar. Or, you know, Monolax, it's all over the place, and so odds of Earthquake are not super great. So, also the possibility that the HP Ghost Fortress would also help that theory. Anyway, so Raikou on Raikou again. We're just going to see another roar, and he roars in Skarmory, and Thunder missing, you know, doesn't help. And Thunder, you know, doesn't quite do the trick, as Ojama is denied the 2 KO there. I think he should have rested against roared against Skarm again. I mean, half the fun of using Raikou is roaring against Skarm, because even if they stay in, what the fuck they're going to do? And he wasn't staying in. You know, likely, anyway, so but, I mean, if he hit Thunder, then he 2 KO'd had he won the speed tie. But Raikou's back at full, but we're going to see some more Thunders. Not really sure why not hidden power for safety. And McMeghan's Raikou seems to be, you know, perpetually slower than the Ojama one, so, which, you know, could be intentional. I know some players, such as Crystal Underscore, have done that before, so they win the Roar War, since they, if you aren't under speed, then you win the Roar War. And as you see, then the Raikou's Roar will fail, and he drags out the Gengar, which threatens to explode on Raikou here, and really, you know, just put this game away, because no matter what it explodes on, then, you know, I mean, it doesn't want to explode Skarm, but, I guess he's a bit squeamish of, exploding Skarm, but, McMeghan's just going for the attack, since he's like, what else can I do? Perhaps the Gengar doesn't have explosion. It's a crit power with Thunderbolt. Massive luck, and there's self-destruct as McMeghan makes the right move and goes to Skarm. And then it's probably finished off, but that was a good move, because he could have just Driddle Pecked spammed even if he ate it, and then had his Raikou finish it off, or perhaps even a Snorlax if he wanted to hit the speed tie if he was out of Raikou range. Anyway, so now that, you know, he's got Raikou back in, and this Gengar, you know, what is it? It's out of Thunderbolt range. He could have exploded, I think, rather than switch his Raikou. And this Ojama's Raikou must not have rest. There's no way it has rest at this point. Goodness, what could it be? Could it be, I don't know, Toxic? Toxic Raikou's good, but I guess one resting Electric is enough for him. Zapdos is dragged in and it rests. So Raikou is just doing a phenomenal job of staying alive and doing what it does, roaring around. Now Gengar's in Thunderbolt range, and another roar on the Zapdos, which very nice there. So Raikou's dragged in. Thunder crit, but Raikou's resting again. So Raikou's just a champion, you know. If you can keep it away from booms, then it just doesn't die. And rest again. Now that was a good move on Ojama's end. Yes, I'm skipping ahead a little. Does this not have explosion? I mean, surely another nice roar on McMeghan's end. You know, figuring if it had exploded, it would have used it by now. And he's just sitting on his ass with Raikou right now, sitting on everything. I mean, going to Gengar will purposes really serve? I mean, he's trying to run it out of Thunderbolts, perhaps, which is feasible, but he gets the Thunder Power, and he goes for it again, trying to get the full paralysis, but let's check on his PP. Oh, we cannot do that, since it's McMeghan's side, so he would have seen the PP in the battle, and therefore the replay doesn't show up. Anyway, Raikou Zapdos Wars, these are super fun. More roars, killing the restless Raikou. What? I'm just not sure what that. I mean, it's cool that, you know, say, hey, I'm gonna go out. Oh, Crunch is another one with HP Water. That makes sense for sure. But I'm just not sold on it because, you know, Thunder, HP Water is followed by Exeggutor, etc., etc., and, you know, harder hit on what's it called, Gengar. So it could have been just 3 attacks roar, but that's so uncommon. I mean, if there's anything, you know, as guaranteed as an electric move on Raikou, it's rest. So that was unusual. I mean, McMeghan might have been quite a spot had it, you know, had rest. So, yeah, this is just going to be Raikou finishing off Zapdos and Gengar. Came close to, you know, dying there, but I don't see McMeghan losing. Yeah, there you go. So, it's going to be up to ADV to, which is one of both players' best tiers to decide this. It's going to be close. So, to finish the series off, we've got ADV. You see the Tyranitar lead, best Pokemon in the metagame, Sand, all that stuff from Ojama and Standard. You see the Rara Heracross. Did I just say Heracross? Am I really turning into Shake It Up? But, yeah, we see the Rara Heracross lead, but it's very good for, you know, it destroys Tyranitar. So, Mega Horn Miss, turn 1, wow, as that does absolutely nothing to Skarmory. And, Triangles used a Choice Band Heracross in SPL because, you know, getting the advantage turn 1 against Tyranitar is so huge. Now, we don't see, we could assume CB from the lack of leftovers, or, you know, McMeghan could be running a very cool set that I will, you know, reveal later in full. But for now, all we know is that it has no leftovers, it has Mega Horn and Focus Punch. And we see, since Skarmory does not run an attacking move in this gen, almost ever, so Focus Punch, ton as Spikes is set up, and it can't phase because, you know, Whirlwind goes after Focus Punch, so McMeghan predicts a switch, and goes for a Mega Horn. And the Hypnosis misses, and Rock Slide doesn't kill, but he's got Hidden Power Ghost, and at this point, I will reveal that I found out from McMeghan it was Chesto Berry, so Will-O-Wisp still, you know, gives it a Guts boost, but it wakes up against Hypnosis. Very cool set. The last move was Rock Slide. I like it so much. Like I'm going to use it on the team, but it's at some point. But it's very creative, very nice, and it did, you know, exactly what it's supposed to do. So Zapdos comes in now, and Zapdos, I fucking love Zapdos. It's so powerful, as it, you know, and it's so bulky too, and it's so fast. I love Zapdos. Best Pokemon across all 6 gens. I know it's not that good in the last 2, but it still can be used, and, you know, it was so strong in Pokemon the movie 2000 as it Thunderbolts Heracross and, you know, takes Rock Slide in return. But that was you know, very successful on McMeghan's part. I mean, he dented the hell out of a Skarmory, and a Zapdos too. He killed the Gengar and, you know, revealed Tyranitar. So, you know, he's got a good position. He sends out Tyranitar, so reveals leftovers, so it's not Choice Band. Not DD Leechy, but it still could be a million things because Tyranitar can do a million things. Anyway, Zapdos is switching out here, and in comes the Swampert, which is, you know, a good first look to it. And it's Toxic. Very cool set. I mean, could be DD Toxic. Could be, you know, some sort of stupid skull set, but DD Toxic is generally the thing. Although I reveal, well, I guess it won't kill me to reveal that McMeghan was really trying to put the clamps on Spikes, so his Tyranitar was Toxic. Cool set, I like it. You know, and Ojama, you know, with the Swampert Toxic, he's like, ah, fuck it, I'll stay in on Zapdos. They'll probably prick me to switch out anyway. So, and it doesn't even kill from that range all the time, actually. I mean, it has a chance to. But that's a nice move on as McMeghan does indeed overpredict. Perhaps he doesn't have HP Ras, and, you know, most people check for it. But at this point, you know, maybe, you know, we'll see. And Zapdos and Snorlax, So, I guess he, I don't know if he expected Zapdos switch, or maybe he's like, oh man, he's probably staying in, he probably figured I don't have HP Grass, so I'm gonna go Snorlax, which can threaten a Boom or whatever, but, Zapdos, he gets a good matchup against the Zapdos, and, Frustration, cool alternative Body Slam, it does a lot more against, it's rarer, so you don't see it in action, but when you see it do the damage it does, it's just like, whoa, Body Slam is weak. Like, most notably against offensive Suicune, Zapdos, and Salamence. So Charizard, very good poke in ADV. I mean, it's rare, because, it's sometimes it's hard to switch in, but you see leftover, so we're almost sitting somewhere. This team has Triangles, one of my favorite ADV players, all over it. I mean, the Harrowly, the Sub-Punch, is that Charizard? The team just like it in SPL. And Tyranitar switches in, and I'm not sure about that, since, well, I suppose he can, take one Focus Punch. Surely he doesn't stay in, no. Because, yeah, Charizard gets that substitute up, and maybe he expected some sunny day without the tire to stay alive. But, yeah, Charizard is really good at dismantling bulky cores without a Milotic or Vaporeon, but yeah, Milotic is a very good Pokemon. Against teams like McMeghan with Hypnosis, it's awesome. Love it. So, and but unfortunately, nothing really like to stand up to a Sub-Focus Punch, Fire Blast, HP Grass, Charizard. I mean, this HP won't quite kill, but it'll certainly, do a number on it. So, no, he's switching Swampert out. Not sure about what that was all about, so he was just going to go to Jirachi. I mean, maybe forgot he was toxic and thought he'd get some leftovers, but no, he's faster and he's probably going to live this Fire Blast by the skin of his teeth. No, he's offensive. Of course he died. It fucking tied Charizard. It outran it. Of course it was going to die. Sorry for that temporary brain fart there, but yeah, breaks the sub. We don't know if this is speed tie or not. So now McMeghan's going to play for a Rock Slide miss. I mean, it's not like if he DDs and he gets a Focus Punch it. And it's not like it's a bad move at all, since he's just going to end up HP Grassing it anyway. So nothing wrong, nothing bad can come from using Substitute here. I mean, he whoops out a Surprise Roar, maybe, and makes you wish you went for an attack instead of just weakening yourself. Not like its health really matters at this point. Everything's going to kill it. I mean, maybe Scarm has less turns to try and Toxic Stall off a Desperate Fire Blast miss. But no, he's not going to get that. Maybe he wants to Focus Punch instead of, excuse me, yes, that's it. He, wants to Focus Punch there, because he doesn't want it to DD and, sweep, which it could if it just took a couple HP grasses. But, I mean, he wasn't gonna fucking, DD there, with Charizard throwing Focus Punch, so in comes Suicune. And now, what you are going to see is that McMeghan has no Rock Resists. And while I applaud the team, I mean, I think it's great, really, but not having a Rock Resist, I mean, sometimes you can get away with it, but you have to, take really necessary safety precautions, like seat belts on an airplane, because that really helps you when you crash into the ocean. Except there's less than half, so this is a very bulky DD Tyranitar, but I assume this weekend is, yeah, it's very bulky. I mean, 30%, that's nothing. So, he's going to 2-KO and finish this game up with Zapdos, Tyranitar, Snorlax, but Suicune gets flinched, so he can still, deal, because he can get a Surf off and then sacrifice Snorlax and finish it off, but he flinches again, and people make Rock Slide jokes in games like this, a reason why. It does shit like this, and this is kind of why you need a Rock Resist, so it can't use, Rock Slide against you, and it has to go for the non-flinch move, an Earthquake, a Hidden Power, or whatever. So he could have dealt with just one flinch, but not two, and the odds of that, getting a Rock Slide flinch, I believe, are 27% when you factor in the accuracy, and, I mean, we're not factoring crits here, but he DDs again, do a sure outrunning the Zapdos, because most Tyranitar do not outrun positive base 100s after a boost. Self-destruct comes up by 3%, that's rough. And, McMeghan's Tyranitar is going to die, and Unless there's a rock slide dodge by the Zapdos, then Ojama's going to take this one home. I'm not sure what the Tyranitar in the Zapdos move really was. I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point, but yeah, that's a shame. I mean, he goes for the hidden power bug, so he doesn't miss missing. So the odds are McMeghan was going to win this battle, since yeah. So, or it would have at least been way closer. Since Swampert was weak, it took a hit and was toxic. So, I mean, even a bulky Tyranitar could have possibly taken a hit after the first switch in for the spikes. After the spikes and after its recovery, since Ojama's is clearly very broken. So, a rather disappointing end to a good series. Ojama had, you know, he had the upper hand in luck in most of the games, which is a shame. Although, I mean, he still lost the GSC. Ojama won, or McMeghan won that quite impressively. This is back against the loss set. But yeah, great game to both players, and Ojama's now going to face the BD 1998, aka Heist, in the finals. So I hope you enjoyed the battles. I hope you enjoyed my stupid accent. I'll you know, actors, no one understands them. And yeah, I will catch you guys later.